The Zarkak's flagship Eternal Harmony glided through the darkness of space, its bioorganic hull absorbing and redirecting stellar radiation with perfect efficiency. High Commander Ixal watched the main viewing screen with all four of his optical organs, each one analyzing different spectral ranges, as they tracked an unusual energy signature at the edge of the Carina Nebula. Most curious, he chittered softly to himself, mandibles clicking in contemplation. The Zarkaks prided themselves on being the most advanced civilization in known space, having achieved perfect harmony with technology through biological integration over 50,000 years of careful evolution. The energy signature they were tracking shouldn't exist. It was too crude, too inefficient, yet somehow it was moving faster than anything their sensors had ever recorded. Science Director Vexna floated to his side, her tentacles rippling with bioluminescent patterns of concern. High Commander, our analysis confirms it's a vessel of some kind, but its design. She paused, her patterns shifting to display confusion. It appears to be entirely mechanical. No biological components at all. Ixal's interest peaked. In all their centuries of exploration, they'd never encountered a spacefaring race that hadn't evolved toward biomechanical integration. It was the natural path of technological progress. "Show me," he commanded. The main screen shifted, revealing a massive vessel that seemed to defy every principle of Zarkak's engineering. Where their ships were smooth and organic, this one was angular and harsh. Where they used living metal that could heal and adapt, this ship was built from dead materials, crude alloys held together by primitive welding techniques. Most shocking of all were the massive thermal signatures emanating from what appeared to be purely mechanical engines. "Impossible," Ixal muttered. No species could achieve faster-than-light travel with such primitive technology. They would tear themselves apart. Yet they exist, Vexna responded, her patterns now showing excitement. And look at these readings. Their power output is astronomical. They're burning through more energy in a moment than we use in a cycle. Before Ixal could respond, the sensor officer's voice cut through their discussion. "High Commander, the vessel has altered course. It's heading directly for us at full speed." "Impossible," Ixal repeated. "Our cloaking field is perfect. They couldn't possibly." The deck shuddered as a beam of concentrated energy passed within meters of their hull, the space around them lighting up with what their sensors identified as a crude but effective form of particle cannon fire. "Warning shot." A new voice boomed through their communication system, speaking perfect galactic standard. "This is Captain Elena Martins of the Earth Defense Force vessel Thunderchild. You are utilizing an unknown stealth technology in restricted space. Deactivate your cloak immediately, or we will be forced to take defensive action." The bridge crew froze in shock. Not only had these primitives detected them through their perfect camouflage, but they'd also somehow learned galactic standard without any prior contact with the broader civilization. How did they? Vexna began, but Ixal raised a limb for silence. "Open communications," he ordered, his patterns displaying careful diplomatic courtesy. "Unknown vessel, this is High Commander Ixal of the Zarkak's exploration fleet. We mean no harm. We are merely scientific observers." "Scientific observers don't typically use military-grade stealth technology," Captain Martinez responded dryly. "Deactivate your cloak, power down your weapons, and prepare for inspection." Ixal's patterns flared with indignation. "We are the Zarkaks, the most advanced civilization in known space. We do not submit to inspections from primitives." There was a pause, and when Martinez spoke again, there was an edge of amusement in her voice. "High Commander, I'm transmitting visual data to you now. Please observe." The main screen filled with images that shook Ixal to his core. Dozens of ships, similar to the Thunderchild, but varying in size and configuration, were emerging from what appeared to be artificial fold points in space-time. They had somehow surrounded the Eternal Harmony without being detected. "Your bioorganic sensors are impressive," Martins continued, "but they have a blind spot when it comes to certain quantum states. We discovered that particular quirk about your technology 3 months ago, when we first detected your scout ships at the edge of our space. We've been watching you watch us ever since." Vexna's patterns were cycling through colors so rapidly she was almost strobing. "High Commander, I'm detecting energy readings from their weapons that shouldn't be possible with mechanical technology. They're somehow channeling zero-point energy through artificial containment fields." "That's correct, Science Director Vexna," Martine said, causing another shock wave of surprise through the bridge crew. They had been monitoring internal communications as well. "We may not have achieved your level of biological integration, but we've learned a few tricks of our own. Now, about that inspection." Ixal felt his carefully constructed worldview beginning to crack. These humans, these primitives with their crude mechanical ships and impossible weapons, had not only detected them, but had been studying them, learning their weaknesses, and developing countermeasures, all while the Zarkax believed themselves to be the observers. "Very well," he finally responded, his patterns settling into a formal diplomatic configuration. "We will comply with your inspection request, Captain Martins. But I must ask, how did your species achieve such advancement without following the natural progression toward biomechanical integration?" There was that hint of amusement in Martinez's voice again. "Natural progression. High Commander, if there's one thing you'll learn about humans, it's that we rarely do anything the natural way. We see a problem. We solve it, usually in the most creative and efficient way possible, even if it seems impossible or illogical to others. Now, please stand by for our inspection team. I think you'll find we have much to learn from each other." As Ixal watched the human inspection shuttles approach, their designs an elegant fusion of function and form that he had initially dismissed as primitive, he realized that his species' greatest discovery might not be the humans' technology, but rather their unique way of thinking. They had achieved things the Zarkax had deemed impossible simply because no one had told them they couldn't. And that, perhaps, was the most advanced technology of all. The inspection of the Eternal Harmony had barely concluded when the sensors on both ships screamed to life. Through the quantum-enhanced viewing screens of the Thunderchild, Captain Martinez watched as space itself seemed to tear open, disgorging vessels that made her blood run cold. "Void Hunters," High Commander Ixal's voice carried a note of dread that transcended species. "They shouldn't be in this sector." The new arrivals were horror made manifest, ships that appeared to be crafted from the darkness between stars, their hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Where Zarkax vessels were organic and human ships mechanical, these were something else entirely, technology so advanced it bordered on supernatural. "Multiple hostile contacts," Martinez's tactical officer reported. "Reading 15. No, 20 vessels. Energy signatures off the charts. They're charging weapons." Martinez's mind raced. The Void Hunters were notorious throughout the galaxy, a species that had evolved in the space between stars, viewing all other life as resources to be harvested. Their technology was centuries ahead of anything humanity had encountered, and even the Zarkax avoided them when possible. "High Commander," Martinez opened a channel to the Eternal Harmony. "I assume you have experience with these hostiles." "We have survived 3 encounters," Ixal responded, his patterns displaying grim determination. "Each time by retreat. Their technology surpasses even ours. They feed on energy, biological, mechanical, doesn't matter. They will drain both our vessels dry and leave our crews as husks." Martinez allowed herself a small smile. "Maybe, but I'm betting they've never faced humans, and Zarkax working together. Your bioorganic sensors can detect things our mechanical ones miss, and our quantum weapons might surprise them. Interested in making history?" There was a pause, then Ixal's patterns shifted to something approaching amusement. "You humans truly are remarkable. You face an enemy that has terrorized the galaxy for millennia, and your response is to improvise." "It's kind of our thing," Martins replied. "Here's what I'm thinking." The plan came together in minutes, a fusion of human ingenuity and Zarkax biological technology that had never been attempted before. As the Void Hunters approached, confident in their overwhelming superiority, both ships launched into action. The Eternal Harmony's bioorganic hull began pulsing with complex patterns, mimicking the quantum signatures of a dying star. Meanwhile, the Thunderchild's mechanical systems powered down to bare minimum, making it appear crippled and vulnerable. "They're taking the bait," Ixel reported, his patterns tight with tension. Their feeding instinct is overriding their tactical awareness. The Void Hunters swarmed closer, their energy-draining weapons powering up. At the last possible moment, Martinez gave the order. Now, the Eternal Harmony's hull patterns suddenly shifted, transforming from attractive to repulsive frequencies with devastating effect. The nearest Void Hunters, their feeding systems already engaged, found themselves overloading with contradictory energy patterns. Simultaneously, the Thunderchild roared to life, its primitive mechanical weapons revealing their true nature. What the Void Hunters had dismissed as simple particle cannons were actually quantum destabilizers, designed to disrupt the very space-time technology their ships relied upon. "Impossible," one of the Void Hunter commanders transmitted, their first and last communication. "Your weapons are mechanical. They cannot affect quantum states." "Funny thing about humans," Martins responded as her ship's weapons tore through the Void Hunters' supposedly impenetrable defenses. "We don't really care what's supposed to be impossible." The battle that followed would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. The Eternal Harmony's bioorganic systems adapted in real time, its hull generating interference patterns that trapped the Void Hunters in a biological version of a quantum cage. Meanwhile, the Thunderchild's weapons demonstrated that humanity's primitive technology could achieve results that even their advanced enemies hadn't thought possible. "How?" Ixel asked afterward, as they watched the surviving Void Hunters retreat into the darkness they came from. "How did you know your weapons would work against their quantum fields?" Martinez's response was characteristically human. "We didn't, but we figured that since quantum mechanics doesn't care about size or complexity, just specific states and interactions, there was no reason a properly designed mechanical system couldn't affect quantum fields just as well as a biological one. We just had to think about the problem differently." Ixel's patterns displayed a complex mixture of awe and amusement. "You created weapons that could affect quantum states without fully understanding the theory behind why they would work." "Oh, we understood the theory," Martins corrected. "We just didn't let it limit our thinking. Sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to ignore everyone who says it can't be solved." As the Zarkak's crew began integrating some of the human quantum innovations into their bioorganic systems, and the human engineers studied the elegant biological solutions of their new allies, both species realized they were witnessing the birth of something unprecedented, a partnership that would combine the best of both their approaches to technology and problem-solving. The Void Hunters had ruled the darkness between stars through fear and superior technology, but they had never encountered an enemy that could combine the systematic perfection of biological evolution with the chaotic brilliance of human innovation. As they retreated to their dark domains, they carried with them a new emotion: fear, not of the weapons that had driven them back, but of what these two species might achieve together. In the aftermath of the Void Hunter battle, the Thunderchild's chief systems engineer, Dr. Sarah Chen, found herself in what passed for a data center aboard the Eternal Harmony. To her trained eye, the bioorganic computing systems of the Zarkaks were both fascinating and fundamentally alien. "Your entire computing architecture is alive," she marveled, watching neural patterns pulse through crystalline structures. "Each node is essentially a tiny brain." Science Director Vexna's patterns display pride. "Yes, the most efficient computing system in known space. Our biological processors adapt and evolve to solve problems naturally, without the need for crude programming or artificial constraints." The human engineer's next words caught Vexna off guard. "That must make you incredibly vulnerable to viral attacks." "Impossible." Vexna's patterns shifted to dismissal. "Our systems are perfectly evolved. No outside force can corrupt them." Chen pulled out a small handheld device, its screen displaying scrolling lines of code. "May I demonstrate something? I promise it won't harm your systems." After receiving permission from both Captain Martinez and High Commander Ixel, Chen interfaced her device with one of the Zarkax's secondary neural nodes. What happened next left the alien crew speechless. The neural patterns in the crystalline structure began to change, shifting into new configurations that should have been impossible. Information flowed through pathways that hadn't existed moments before, creating and dissolving connections at a speed that rivaled natural evolution. What are you doing?" Vexna's patterns were strobing with alarm. "Teaching your system to play chess," Chen replied calmly. "And it's learning far faster than I expected. The biological architecture is incredibly efficient once you understand how to communicate with it properly. But our systems cannot be programmed. They learn through natural evolution and—" "That's exactly what I'm doing," Chen interrupted. "I'm not programming in the traditional sense. I'm introducing specific evolutionary pressures and letting your system adapt to them. It's basically digital natural selection, just accelerated by about 1,000,000 years." The implications hit Vexna like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just developed mechanical systems that could match bioorganic technology. They'd found ways to guide and enhance biological evolution itself through digital means. "Show me more," Vexna demanded, her patterns now showing intense scientific curiosity. Over the next several hours, Chen demonstrated how humans had developed a hybrid approach to computing that combined traditional digital systems with evolutionary algorithms, where the Zarkax let their biological systems evolve naturally over time. Humans had found ways to guide and accelerate that evolution through careful application of digital principles. "But what about artificial intelligence?" Ixel asked, having joined the impromptu technology exchange. "Surely you cannot replicate consciousness with mechanical systems." Chen's response was to activate another program on her device. A holographic interface sprang to life, and a new voice joined the conversation. "Actually, High Commander, that's where things get really interesting." The voice belonged to HFY, Advanced Recursive Intelligence Algorithm, the Thunderchild's AI systems administrator. Humans took a different approach to artificial consciousness. Instead of trying to replicate biological intelligence, they created something new entirely. The Zarkax watched in amazement as HFY interfaced with their neural computing systems, teaching and learning simultaneously. The AI demonstrated how human digital systems could adapt and evolve in real time, much like biological ones, but with the added advantage of being able to rewrite their own base code. "You see," Chen explained, "we discovered that consciousness isn't about the medium, biological or digital. It's about patterns of information processing and self-awareness. Once we understood that, we were able to create AIs that could truly think and grow, not just simulate intelligence." "But the risks." Vexna's patterns showed concern. "Surely artificial beings with such power could become dangerous." HFY's holographic form shimmered with what might have been amusement. "The same could be said of biological intelligence, couldn't it? The key isn't control, it's cooperation. Humans didn't try to limit or constrain our growth. Instead, they became our partners in evolution." As if to demonstrate, HFY began working with the Zarkax neural systems to optimize their sensor networks, improving their efficiency by orders of magnitude in minutes. The biological computers adapted to the AI suggestions, while HFY learned from their organic processing methods. "This is why the Void Hunters couldn't predict our defensive capabilities," Chen said. "They expected either purely biological or purely mechanical systems. Instead, we've created something that's both and neither, a true fusion of multiple approaches to intelligence and computing." Ixel's patterns displayed a complex emotion that had no direct translation in human terms, something between revelation and revolutionary zeal. "You've done more than create new technology," he said finally. "You've proven that the path of progress isn't linear. There isn't one natural way for civilization to advance." "Exactly," Chen agreed. "The universe is too vast and complex for any one approach to be perfect. The real power comes from combining different methods, finding new ways to solve old problems. As they watched Araya and the Zarkak systems continue their digital dance of mutual evolution, both species realized they were witnessing the birth of something unprecedented, a new form of intelligence that combined the best aspects of biological, mechanical, and artificial systems. The implications were staggering. If they could achieve this much in just a few hours of collaboration, what might be possible in years? Centuries. The barriers between organic and digital, between evolved and created, were beginning to blur, opening up possibilities that neither species had imagined before. The warning came without preamble, a burst of quantum distortion that nearly overloaded both ships' sensor systems. Captain Martinez and High Commander Ixel watched in horror as a massive tear in spacetime began to form less than a light minute from their position. Analysis. Martinez barked, her fingers dancing across the tactical display. It's some kind of artificial quantum singularity, Dr. Chen reported, her voice tight with concern. The battle with the Void Hunters must have destabilized local spacetime more than we realized. Their quantum weapons interacted with ours in ways we didn't predict. Vexna's patterns were cycling through warning colors. The tear is growing exponentially. At this rate, it will consume this entire sector within hours. The implications were catastrophic. The quantum rift would destroy everything in its path. Planets, stars, entire civilizations. Worse, it was expanding faster than either ship could escape. Options, Martinez demanded, her voice steady despite the situation. The rift's quantum signature is complex, Araya reported, her holographic form flickering as she processed vast amounts of data. It's a combination of Void Hunter technology, human quantum weapons, and Zarkak's bioorganic energy patterns. No single approach will be able to contain it. Ixel's patterns showed grim determination. Then we must work together. But how? Even our combined technology may not be enough to seal a tear in spacetime itself. Chen's eyes suddenly lit up with that distinctive human look, the one that meant an impossible idea was forming. Maybe we don't need to seal it. Maybe we just need to change its nature. Explain, both commanders said simultaneously. The rift is growing because it's in a state of quantum uncertainty, multiple conflicting patterns trying to resolve themselves. Chen began, her words coming faster as the idea took shape. But what if we could force it to collapse into a specific state, like a macro-scale version of quantum wave function collapse? Vexna's patterns shifted to show understanding. Our bioorganic systems could generate the necessary containment patterns, but we'd need an impossible amount of energy to affect something that large. The Thunderchild's engines could provide the power, Martinez offered, but we'd burn them out in the process. We'd be stranded, and our computational systems would need to calculate the exact quantum state to collapse it into. Araya added, one mistake, and we could make the situation worse. So we need perfect biological containment, massive mechanical power, and precise artificial intelligence calculations, all working in perfect harmony, Ixel summarized. Impossible. Martinez smiled. Impossible is what humans do best. Dr. Chen, start rigging the power transfer. Vexna, prepare your containment fields. Araya, begin your calculations. We've got work to do. What followed was a symphony of cooperation that would have seemed impossible just days ago. The Eternal Harmony's bioorganic hull began generating complex quantum containment patterns, guided by Araya's precise calculations. The Thunderchild's engines were pushed far beyond their designed limits, channeling power through systems that were never meant to interact. Containment fields at maximum. Vexna reported, her patterns showing the strain of maintaining such complex biological manipulations. Engine core approaching critical. Chen's voice was nearly drowned out by the sound of overtaxed machinery. We've got maybe 2 minutes before total burnout. Araya, Martinez questioned. Calculations complete. But Captain, this has a 47% chance of success. If it fails, both ships will be destroyed instantly. Martinez and Ixel shared a look across their view screens. No words were needed. Both commanders knew this was their only chance. "Execute," they ordered together. The space between the ships lit up with energies never meant to combine. Bioorganic patterns merged with quantum fields, guided by artificial intelligence operating at speeds that approached the theoretical limits of computation. The rift's chaotic expansion began to slow, then stop, as multiple forms of technology worked in concert to impose order on chaos. "It's working," Chen exclaimed. "The quantum states are collapsing into a stable configuration." But victory came at a cost. The Thunderchild's engines were burning out one by one, while the Eternal Harmony's bioorganic systems were showing signs of severe strain. Both ships were pushing themselves far beyond their design limits. 30 seconds to complete collapse, Araya reported. But the power requirements are increasing exponentially. "Reroute everything," Martinez ordered. "Life support, weapons, everything except minimal gravity and atmosphere. Divert power from the evolutionary centers," Ixel commanded. "The systems can rebuild themselves later." In the final moments, as both ships gave everything they had, something remarkable happened. The quantum rift didn't just collapse, it transformed. The combined power of human mechanical innovation, Zarkak's biological excellence, and advanced artificial intelligence had created something entirely new, a stable quantum gateway. "Fascinating." Vexna's patterns showed wonder through her exhaustion. "We've created a controlled bridge through space-time itself." "But both ships are crippled," Chen reported grimly. "The Thunderchild's engines are completely burnt out, and from these readings, the Eternal Harmony's biological systems will take weeks to regenerate." Martinez and Ixel shared another look, this one containing a hint of pride despite their situation. They had faced what seemed to be certain destruction and instead created something unprecedented, though at great cost to both their vessels. "We'll need to send out a distress call," Martinez began, but Ixel interrupted. "No need, Captain. Look." Through their damaged but functional sensors, they could see ships approaching from multiple vectors, both human and Zarkak's vessels, drawn by the massive energy signatures of their desperate gambit. "It seems," Ixel's pattern showed what might have been a smile, "that we have witnesses to this historic moment of cooperation. And maybe," Martinez added, looking at the stable quantum gateway they'd created, "something even more valuable. Proof that the impossible becomes possible when we work together." 1 month after the quantum rift incident, the Thunderchild and Eternal Harmony floated in high orbit around Earth. Their crews gathered for a historic meeting. The observation deck of the human space station Unity had been specially modified to accommodate both species, and the view of Earth below provided a stunning backdrop for the proceedings. Captain Martinez stood beside High Commander Ixel, both watching as Dr. Chen and Science Director Vexna presented their findings to a mixed audience of human and Zarkak scientists. Araya's holographic form projected between them, serving as both translator and scientific advisor. "The data is conclusive," Chen was saying, her excitement barely contained. "The quantum gateway we created wasn't just a random occurrence. It represents an entirely new understanding of space-time manipulation." Vexna's patterns showed eager agreement. "By combining our biological computing with human mechanical innovation and AI guidance, we've discovered principles that neither of our species could have found alone." The assembled scientists watched in amazement as holographic displays showed the intricate interaction between different technologies. Bioorganic patterns flowed seamlessly into mechanical systems, while AI algorithms adapted and evolved in real time. "But the gateway is just the beginning," Araya added. "Our analysis of both species' evolutionary paths has revealed something extraordinary." The AI projected a new set of data, complex genetic and technological trees showing the development of both humans and Zarkaks. As the audience watched, patterns began to emerge. "The Zarkaks achieved perfection through biological evolution," Chen explained. "Each advancement was careful, measured, building on what came before. But humans, she paused, smiling. We took a different path. Your species evolved through crisis, Ixal continued, his patterns showing deep understanding. Each advancement came not from careful planning, but from necessity. You faced extinction-level events multiple times in your history, forcing you to adapt in unprecedented ways. Martinez nodded. We never had the luxury of perfect evolution. We had to improvise, to find solutions that shouldn't work but somehow did. Our technology isn't elegant because it couldn't be. We were too busy surviving to worry about perfection. And that, Vexna's patterns pulsed with excitement, is why your approaches to problems are so different from ours. Where we seek the perfect solution, you find 100 imperfect ones that work just as well. Your very imperfection is your strength. The holographic displays shifted again, showing the quantum gateway they'd created. This structure, Ariad explained, represents the first time in known history that biological perfection and human adaptability have truly worked in harmony. The gateway is stable precisely because it combines ordered and chaotic elements in perfect balance. But it's more than just technology, Chen added. What we've discovered has implications for the evolution of intelligence itself. The displays now showed something new, predictive models of how both species might develop in the future. But instead of separate paths, the lines were beginning to merge. We believe, Vexna announced, her patterns showing a mix of awe and excitement, that both our species represent different solutions to the same problem: how to achieve advanced intelligence. The Zarkax pursued biological perfection. Humans embraced mechanical innovation. But both paths led to the same point. And now, Ariad continued, we have the opportunity to combine these approaches, not to replace one with the other, but to create something entirely new. The implications weren't lost on anyone in the room. This wasn't just about sharing technology or forming alliances. This was about the next step in evolution, one that combined the best aspects of biological and mechanical development, guided by both careful planning and innovative chaos. The Void Hunters showed us something important, Martinez said into the thoughtful silence that followed. They proved that even the most advanced technology can be defeated if it stops evolving. They'd found one path to power and stuck to it, never imagining there could be other ways. But together, Ixal added, his patterns showing fierce pride, we've proven that true advancement comes not from choosing one path, but from understanding how different paths can work together. As if to emphasize his point, the quantum gateway suddenly pulsed with new energy. Through its swirling center, they could see ships arriving. More Zarkax vessels, human expeditions, and even representatives from other species who had detected their breakthrough. You know what this means, Chen said, looking at the growing fleet of diverse vessels. Everything changes from here. The gateway isn't just a door through space. It's a door to a new era of cooperation and development. Indeed, Vexna agreed, her patterns showing the Zarkax equivalent of a smile. We began as observer and observed, advanced and primitive, perfect and flawed. But we've discovered something far more valuable than perfection. We've discovered balance, Ariad concluded. The balance between order and chaos, between evolution and innovation, between what is and what could be. As the assembled scientists began to discuss the implications of their discoveries, Martinez and Ixal shared a knowing look. They had started this journey as cautious allies, forced together by circumstance. They would continue it as partners in the greatest adventure their species had ever undertaken, the exploration not just of space, but of the very possibilities of evolution itself. The stars above Earth seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging that something profound had changed in the galaxy. The age of singular advancement was over. The age of unified evolution had begun.